Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from our news about Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions are welcome right out to you and to the rest of the world this evening here on Hot Edition. President John Dramani Mahama grants amnesty to 998 prison inmates out of a total of 1,014 recommended. We'll give you the breakdown shortly here on Hot Edition. Plus, Election Security Task Force invites political parties to a high-level meeting to discuss election violence ahead of the Akwetia by-election on the 2nd of September. Also this evening, Movement for Change demands 1-year ban on all small-scale and artisanal mining as the group unveils 10-point action plan as a solution to Galamsey. Stay with us. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1. We're live on W93.5. And while and beyond, we'll get responses from the Small Scale Miners Association. They have rejected that call for the 1-year ban, suggesting alternative measures to the fight against illegal mining. All these plus the latest in business and sports over the next 1 hour here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. I am Alfred Ocansey. Let's settle for a summary of the news now.
Thank you very much, Alfred. And in our summaries tonight, following the conclusion of the state funeral and burial of all 8 victims of the helicopter crash, the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, has directed the flags at all public buildings be restored to full mast with immediate effect. Early on Wednesday, August 6, the Chief of Staff directed that the flags should fly at half-mast following the deadly helicopter crash. The funeral of the victims took place on Friday, August 15. The Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Jinapor, has publicly rejected a 2-week ultimatum from the lawyers of Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa, regarding her use of the professor title. Professor Jinapor accused the lawyers of providing poor advice, which he believes has exacerbated the controversy. The dispute stems from conflicting claims about Dr. Ayensu-Dankwa's academic rank. According to Professor Jinapor, a clear chronology of events shows a pattern of inconsistency from the Deputy Minister's camp. Now, more than 100 traders staged a peaceful protest today, August 18, 2025, accusing the Ashaman Municipal Assembly of attempting to unlawfully evict them from their place of business. The traders, who operate near the Ashaman traffic light, alleged that the assembly is acting on behalf of a private developer in disregard of a pending court case. The demonstration unfolded this morning as traders, many clad in red to symbolize their anger, chanted and held up placards. Protesters claim they hold valid legal documentation that permits them to operate on the land and that the matter is currently before a court for a final ruling. Former presidential staffer under the Akufo-Addo administration, Dennis Miracles Abuache, has urged the Mahama administration to implement the promises they made while in opposition to address the illegal small-scale mining, also known as Galamsey. He noted that the NDC promised, among other things, to declare a state of emergency, temporarily ban all forms of small-scale mining, and ban mining in forest reserves. His comment comes at a time when the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, indicated that President Mahama would soon unveil an unprecedented and uncompromising crackdown on illegal small-scale mining known as Galamsey.
So live here on Hot Edition, I settle for the details right now as President John Dramani Mahama, as we're learning right now, just some few minutes ago, has granted amnesty to 998 prisoners across the country following the recommendations of the Prison Service Council in consultation with the Council of State and in accordance with Article 72(1) of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. The decision forms part of the President's constitutional mandate to exercise the prerogative of mercy in deserving cases. A total of 1,014 inmates were recommended for amnesty, out of which 998 were approved. The presidential spokesperson and Minister for Government Communications, Phyllis Kwachufosu, confirmed the decision in a statement. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we're putting a copy of the statement on our Facebook page right now at 3FM927. Here's what the details of the statement says, and shortly we'll be joined by Martin Pebo, private legal practitioner who has been championing matters of human rights for a very long time. But this statement, titled Presidential Amnesty for Prisoners, President John Dramani Mahama has, upon the recommendation of the Prison Service Council and in consultation with the Council of State and in accordance with Article 72(1) of the 1992 Constitution, granted amnesty to 998 prisoners of a total of 1,014 were recommended. Here are the categories of these prisoners who have benefited from the mercy of the president as exercised under Article 72(1). First-time offenders, 787 first-time offenders have been granted amnesty by the president. Death sentence to be commuted to life imprisonment, 87 prisoners who were on or were sentenced to death have now had the president's mercy to then commuted to life imprisonment. There's life sentences to be now commuted to 20 years definite term. 51 inmates also benefited from this prerogative of amnesty by the president. Now, those who were sentenced to life imprisonment have had their sentences commuted to 20 years definite term, 51 of them. 33 inmates who were seriously ill have also been granted amnesty. 33 inmates who were seriously ill, not feeling well, seriously, have also benefited from the amnesty. Over 70 years, irrespective of offense. So inmates who were over 70 years old, 36 of them have also benefited from the amnesty by the president. Nursing mothers, 2 petitions have also been given a hearing and also granted amnesty by the president. There are no details of the identities of these prisoners, but then again, it raises questions about obviously how this was exercised, and then also the many who have been recommending that some persons be granted amnesty. The latest that comes to mind is the likes of the former CEO and owner of Capital Bank, who have also had a number of persons championing for his, at least, amnesty to be granted him by the president. We don't know. I have details as to whether he is part of these persons 33 who are seriously ill and as a result have been granted amnesty. Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner joining us on the telephone right now. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, evening, Mr. Ocansey.
And welcome back. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you.
Great. Now, first off, I want to find out how this news strikes you of the president's decision, in fact, in granting amnesty to 998 prisoners out of a total of 1,014 that were recommended earlier by the Prisons Council, and he's done this in consultation with the Council of State. Council.
Okay, so in the absence of further details, this is fairly routine, and I'm stressing the routine with all the energy I can master. So though it's amnesty, and then like you read from the Constitution, I mean, you mentioned the constitutional provision, it is a prerogative of mercy. But, human nature, because it's been done over the decades, it's almost crystallized into a right. Yes, that I'm using the word almost, okay, because it's not a right on paper. But in practice, it is one that usually practitioners and families or people in prisons look forward to. So, in law, this is one that we say there's a legitimate expectation that a president during his term would grant amnesty. That's why I use the word routine. It's usually done every year. So, when President Kufuor came for some years, he was not granting, and it was causing a lot of unrest. Let me use the word unrest, and despite the prison population and the prison service itself. Because, when the prisoners get to go home, the officers too, they also get a bit of peace, because it's a lot of stress for prison officers keeping a lot of people in detention. Yes, I'm aware that people have been punished, they must serve and all that. That's not what we are talking about here. What we are discussing here is that prerogative of mercy. The point I'm making is that it's usually done every year, usually. So where a president comes, and it's most of the time it's done around Republic Day, 1st July, usually a day or 2 weeks. Haven't watched it. That's usually when it occurs. But as I said, when the Akufo-Addo took over for quite some while, it wasn't done. It caused a lot of disquiet. So it's good that President Mahama has done it early. It helps because, as I said, let's give them a second opportunity to come and try, get a second shot at life. It shouldn't be that with one mistake, then the person is out for life. Yes, I accept that some of the offenses, usually you hear violent offenses, those things, sometimes. So, like you said, it's not giving categories, right? It's not giving categories, but usually from the prison service, both the act and then the the practice. Now let's go in. So when it comes to the practice, usually the president, those on death row.
So, Counsel, that's why I come in, not to interrupt you, but the categories have been specified in the statement that was issued by the government spokesperson, Phyllis Kwachufo. So there's the first-time offenders. In fact, they form a huge number out of the 998 who have been granted amnesty. First-time offenders, 787. Death sentence to be commuted to life imprisonment, 87. Life sentence to be commuted to 20 years definite term, 51. Seriously ill inmate, 33. Over 70 years inmates, irrespective of the offense, 36. Nursing mothers, 2. Petitions, 2. That's the category of prisoners who have benefited.
So maybe the word the word I should have used is category, because the word category is used in the letter. What I mean is the one I'm starting with the big ticket item. That is, you see the one death row commuted to life imprisonment. Please, can you call the number again?
87.
87. That's the biggest ticket. So that's the one I'm saying the practice. So you see that usually when you say death row, you see death row, until we repealed the offense of death, all right, for murder. Okay, so meaning that the punishment for murder is a death sentence. We just repealed it about a year and a half through the effort of Honorable Xavier Susu. Yes, but it's an idea I started first. My paper, my opinion, we took it to the president. The Akufo-Addo bought in, but he did anything. But thank God, Xavier Susu became MP. He took it. Then eventually, Akufo-Addo jumped on the time, right? He gave it his support in his last bit, but he didn't do much when we first approached him in 2019. So the point I'm making, that's the biggest ticket. And I'm saying that one is not law that death row should be committed to, or death sentence should be committed to life imprisonment. But it's the practice. So that's what I mean. It's the practice that the president uses his prerogative of mercy. So it's the biggest ticket. And I'm happy that it's 87. At the time Susu got the law passed, you know that the inmates on the death row, that's those who have been sentenced to suffer death for also murdering other people, they were above 150. So if the president has done 87, it's commendable. We just pray that His Excellency would naturally, since he's done this, okay, once again, Akufo-Addo didn't do anything about it. President Mahama will take a second look, because now we've abolished the death penalty, right? So the death penalty is no longer, that's for civilians, but for the military, in the armed forces, it's still there. And also number 2, in the constitution, if we try to do a coup d'etat, that one, the death penalty is still there. But these are less than 5% of those who are in Sawam for now on death row. So pray that President Mahama will take a second look and try to bring all of them. We here as citizens, as human rights advocates, we say all. But of course, I don't know all the facts. When the president is briefed, you see what he can do. So for us, it's normal for us to say that he should commit all those on death row, okay, those suffering death penalty to life imprisonment, because the conditions at death row are horrific, especially the solitary confinement. It's torture. I mean, that's my argument. We don't have enough time to go in. I know some would disagree, etc. We can do a detailed debate another time. But generally, the conditions are horrific. They are subhuman. So we are begging that the president will look at it and try to move more, all of them from death row into life imprisonment, so that they can socialize. You see, like they say in Treve, I read it. So when you keep somebody in solitary confinement, you are just torturing him to death like that, killing him slowly. When you put them life imprisonment, at least their social interactions will increase massively. So that's the first one. I don't know when you stop me.
Yes, but perfect. Maybe before we go into the second one, I just wanted to understand, since you talk about the practice of it and you dwelt a lot more on the death sentence, I want to move to the petitions. There are two petitions that have actually been granted some hearing by the president, and those two prisoners whose petitions indeed got to the president and was considered by the Council of State have also been granted amnesty. In practice, what are some of that is, if you're aware, the considerations that would guide a decision of, for instance, the president to grant amnesty to inmates or prisoners whom he has received petitions about? Because for the other ones, those who are seriously ill, over 70 years, I mean, it appeared to be straightforward, but petitions in what form?
Okay, so that once again, it's not hard law, it's practice. So I'll give you the answer based on what I have experienced, what I've been involved in, and what I've read about. So when you send a petition to the president, number one, you should know, let's not hide from it, when you have political weight behind it, even when it's bad, I mean, let's speak straight. When there's a lot of political weight, even when it is bad, naturally, because of the political weight, let's say party people step in, it helps. I mean, we are confronting it straight. I don't want to be talking in speculation. Let's just speak straight. So let's say a party chairman, the party in government, the chairman says that this is my constituent. Yes, this is a lot of it. It carries a lot more weight than, let's say, somebody, the prisoner doing it by himself and has no support of his party chairman. Also, chiefs, depend on the rank of the chief. Okay, it also adds weight, right? But once again, I'll tell you the Kufuor example. I had a client, we did one like that over 2 years. The Kufuor wasn't granted the chiefs, weighty chiefs, and even top people in government, okay, were involved. It didn't work. So that also tells you that I'm not saying every time a big person steps in it works. Kufuor say it didn't work. But I was involved. I had a client who, we did the petition because all the evidence showed that he didn't get a fair trial in court. But long story short, his appeals weren't succeeding. It's too technical to, we don't have enough time on air for me to explain the case. So I'm just making it short, straight to the point. At least as a lawyer on the case, we all kind of agree that, no, he didn't get a fair trial, but it was late. The way the system was done, we could never correct those mistakes. And let me tell you that somebody very close to Kufuor on daily basis in the Jubilee House was once lawyer for that person. Yet when Kufuor became president and the petition went before him, it took a very long time. We even lost hope. It was finally the COVID. When COVID came, and the prison conditions were bad, then I think the prison authorities stepped in, went back to Kufuor that, look, what, this thing is over delayed. That was when finally that amnesty was granted, that's 2020, and then this young man got a chance. So please, the political thing I said, it's not like it's cast in stone. It depends on who the president is. But generally, if a party chairman, a minister, big people, a chief, etc., support your petition, it will go faster than the prisoner doing it himself, or he has ordinary people who don't carry much voice. Okay? So number 2, you see the other one is ill health. Ill health also helps. You remember, let's give a practical example. When the Akufo-Addo granted amnesty finally, not the first batch, not the 2020 batch, but subsequently, Alhaji Osman Nimina, former Deputy National Security Coordinator, he was involved in the Bafuboni and Treve case. He was former National Security Coordinator in the Mahama First Administration. When Akufo-Addo was granting the amnesty to him, they mentioned ill health, that he was not well, and he's also even coincidentally a chief. So at least there was a public statement that there was ill health. So ill health is also a verifiable one, I should think, that it helps in a petition to say it. Yes, and then as I mentioned, injustice, where there is clear evidence that the prisoner didn't get justice in the court. Once in a while it happens, okay? Elsewhere in the UK, if there isn't justice in the court, there's a commission you go to outside the court. Then they will look at the whole file, the evidence and everything, and if they think you have a case, they'll send it back to the court, that the court will recommend to the court to acquit you. But Ghana, we don't have that system. So when it goes to the president, and the president receives advice that, yes, based on everything they received in the petition, this prisoner didn't get justice in the court, normally the president will grant the amnesty. So these are the main ones based on my experience I can give an answer to. Because let's watch that. We don't have a book where we can all go and open. Where you go to law school, they will show you that this how the president goes about it. No, it's not in a book that each president gives out to the people, or a policy you can formally read. No, you get it from the practice.
And because you also put some premium on the politics of things around this entire amnesty, because it's in consultation with the Council of State, the president has discretion in there as well, exercised. I mean, for the political consideration, and also you talk about the weight of the people who are behind such petitions, for instance. The recent one we've seen is for William Atwesin, the CEO of defunct Capital Bank, whom we're told he's not feeling well, is critically ill in prison. And the likes of Kekusin Tim Misa, KSM, Dr. John Appiah, and even your good friend, the former Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah, I mean, all throwing in some calls for him to be granted some amnesty because he is not well. He's critically ill. That's one of the categories of the persons who have been granted amnesty now, 33 of them so far, as per the statement as captured now. We don't know the identities of these 33, but it wouldn't surprise you if he is part of the 33, would it?
So, well, let me say, the question, would it surprise me? My thoughts are still evolving, but immediately I can tell you that if the president asked me, because I've not seen the medical file, I cannot second guess the president. I cannot. But what we pray is that if Atwesin is in that list, then let's get a second look into his case. That is to say, what else can we recover? Because, you see, Atwesin as a businessman appended the signature to an agreement to return 90 million to us.
Yes.
And out of the 90 million, he paid 37. Atwesin is not a novice. He's an experienced businessman. He signed that he can pay 90 million. He's paid 37. Let's go back. The rest of the money, where is it? What were, you see, just before he was sent to jail, there were news items that were saying that he wanted to sell a certain asset and then land. I think they say land. Do I remember it being around Pram area or something? But that there is litigation of the land over the land, etc. So my key focus will be on less than the president should let the Attorney General brief us on it, that those assets he wanted to sell, and then they said there was litigation. Where has the litigation reached? So that we will know. Then the Attorney General will be updating us from time to time. If they need help, some of us can come and help. Because before Atwesin appended his signature, presumably, he was sure that he would get that money. And as I said, some assets were to be sold, but litigation stopped it. So where has that court case gotten to? That's the key thing. For me, you would know from my previous opinions and contributions on these matters, when they come, once it involves state money, or if it's not state money, private money that we can recover for some citizens, I want that more than the number of years the person will stay in custody. So if the president is granted the amnesty, I think we should be slow to second guess the president.
Right.
We should be slow to second guessing when we've not seen the evidence. Until maybe something untoward happens, and then that one we can conclude. But a president when he comes into office, there's goodwill. We're presuming that he's doing everything by the book. Once we haven't seen evidence to the contrary, that's what we take for a good battle. But later he abused the trust we reposed in him, and then the tide turned against him. But Mahama has just come. He's also enjoying that goodwill. I don't have any evidence to second guess what he has done. So we presume that he has done it right until otherwise.
Council, appreciate your time on this, and I know this is a matter that is also going to, have different sides play out in the coming days. We certainly will talk about it again. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Martin Pebo is a private legal practitioner. He's a human rights lawyer as well. He's aimed his impact in the human rights fight against human rights violations in this country in many, many ways. And let's just get an understanding of the specific details of that constitutional provision that the president exercised his authority on, Article 72(1) of the 1992 Constitution, that's led to his granting amnesty to 998 prisoners out of a total of 1,014 that were recommended by the Prisons Council and in consultation with the Council of State. What does Article 72(1) of the 1992 Constitution say?
Article 72(1) says prerogative of mercy. And it says the president may, acting in consultation with the Council of State, A, grant to a person convicted of an offense a pardon either free or subject to lawful conditions, or B, grant to a person a respite either indefinite or for a specified period from the execution of punishment imposed on him for an offense, or C, substitute a less severe form of punishment for a punishment imposed on a person for an offense, or D, remit the whole or part of a punishment imposed on a person or of a penalty or forfeiture otherwise due to government on account of any offense. This is what Article 72(1) says.
And if you're just joining us, the president has granted amnesty to 998 prisoners out of a total of 1,014 recommended by the Prison Service Council, and the president did this under Article 72(1) that Christabel has just read the details, and also in consultation with the Council of State. These are the categories of the prisoners who have enjoyed or have benefited from the amnesty granted by the president. 998 of them. Out of the 998, first-time offenders are the highest beneficiaries. 787 first-time offenders have been granted amnesty by the president, and 87 prisoners who were on death sentence are going to have their death sentence commuted to life imprisonment, and 51 prisoners who were sentenced to life sentences would have their sentences commuted to 20 years definite term, and inmates or prisoners who have been deemed seriously ill, 33 of them have benefited from the president's amnesty. 33 seriously ill inmates, prisoners, have been granted amnesty. And inmates who are over 70 years, irrespective of the offense, 36 of them have been granted amnesty. And nursing mothers, 2 petitions as well to the president about some prisoners. 2 of the petitions have also been given some hearing by the president, and they have been granted amnesty. There are no names to these 998, but a number of you are sending messages asking about William Atwesian, Rightly so, because Christabel, if you recall, his campaign and persons who have been leading that campaign for him to be granted amnesty because he was critically ill or not feeling too well in prison has been rife and consistent over the last couple of months. And Martin Pebo says we cannot go on the path of second-guessing the president, especially when we don't have the identities of these 998. So until those details come, we acknowledge the messages you're sending, but this is the legal perspective to the questions that you're asking us about the identities of these persons. As and when we get to know, we'll let our viewers and our listeners as well get to know the details of it. But what next do we have? Let's go to Akwetia.
Yes. Away from that, the Election Security Task Force, through the Ghana Police Service, has invited political parties to a high-level meeting to deliberate on election-related violence and preparations for the upcoming parliamentary by-election in the Akwetia constituency. In a letter signed by the Commissioner of Police and Director General of Administration, Dr. David Ajemana Jem, the police indicated that the meeting will be held at the 5th floor conference room of the police headquarters on Tuesday, August 19, 2025 at 10 a.m. According to the letter, the meeting will serve as a platform to discuss both security and operational arrangements for the polls, as well as the preparedness of the Electoral Commission. The stakes are high as the two main political parties, the NDC and the NPP, intensify campaigning ahead of the September 2 by-election. The Akwetia seat became vacant following the demise of the Member of Parliament for the area, Ernest Yaokumi.
Let's go into the telephone now, and Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. Also, the CEO of GIFEC is joining us. Rashid Tanko, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred. Let me say good evening to your cherished listeners.
It's good to have you join us. First off, have you received any invitation from the Election Security Task Force through the Ghana Police Service for this meeting, the high-level meeting to deliberate on the election-related violence tomorrow?
Yes, very well. We received the invitation from the Election Security Task Force, and we will avail ourselves for the meeting tomorrow.
I see. Now, considering the concerns that have been raised ahead of this by-election about the possible violence, what posture are you going to this meeting with, and what commitments do you intend to make to ensure a peaceful by-election on September 2?
Well, Alfred, we will listen to them why they are inviting us tomorrow. But I can tell you, we are committed to a peaceful process at Akwetia. In fact, we have exhibited it in several elections that we've participated. If you look at Asinov, if you look at the recent one at Blekumanov, we're very peaceful in all our dealings with them. We comply with the laid-down procedure by the police. We've not been disturbing the security architecture when it goes for by-elections. The only thing we will ask for, and we want to forcefully push it through the meeting, is that our opponents need to understand that you don't go to elections with weapons. You don't go to elections with predetermined mind that this is what is happening. So you prepare yourself with dangerous weapons that has a tendency of marring the beauty of the election. You saw what happened at Blekumanov when senior members of the NPP came there with pepper spray. What was their motive for bringing pepper spray? So these are the things that we are talking about. If you have senior officers of the party, former government appointees, former ministers, former MPs, coming with dangerous weapons like this to elections, what are they telling the youth? And so we will let the police know that, look, as a political party, NDC, we are committed to peaceful process. And we will abide by all their processes because we have trust in the state security that they will do a good job.
And in fact, you referenced what happened in Blekumanov. Following from that, we saw the commentary and the statements that were made by elements within both the MPP and the NDC about the upcoming by-election in Akwatia on September 2. And because of the violence that characterized that very small, in terms of the number of polling stations, 19 of them, election in Ablekuma North, there were fears as to, and legitimately so, as to what was going to happen in September 2. So if you're committed to ensuring peace as a political party, how do you intend to also ensure or give that clear indication to your opponents that yes, we are going into this with no malice or violence in mind, do not do so as well?
Well, Alfred, that's what I just indicated. At the 19 polling station that you indicated, there was not even one officer of our party, either branch, constituency, regional or national, who was found with any dangerous weapon. None. But can you say that of our opponent? Pepper spray is described as one of dangerous weapons. And it's classified as such when it comes to election issues and all that. What was he doing with those things? That is the problem we are talking about. And we are saying that they must talk to them. Tell them that they shouldn't come with some predetermined mind that this is what we are coming to do. I've participated since 92. All the elections, by-elections, I've participated in 11 of the elections. I've never visited any polling station with anything in my pocket, not even a razor blade. Why would you be thinking this, that somebody was going to attack me, so I must prepare myself? On what basis?
I'm sure they'll also be saying same. They'll also be saying same that you're the ones who would provoke them to react.
So if you were provoked, and you also brought out pepper spray, what does that mean? It means you already planned that I'm going to be provoked. So if I'm provoked, I'll come out with this thing. In any case, that's why I'm saying that they need to let our opponents go back and study the electoral system of Ghana very well. And the operationalization of the CI 127, it appears they have challenges with it. Because the honorable former MP, who contested elections severally, should have known on that day that it was parliamentary elections that were holding, not parliamentary and presidential. So we're not expecting two-party agents at each polling station. It was only one-party agent. Because it was one election being conducted, we're expecting only one-party agent at a time. But she went there and was asking them questions that, why is it that NPP has only one-party agent at a polling station? It means she didn't even understand the kind of election that was being conducted. And throwing her weight around the place, just misbehaving, that led to all this kind of unfortunate situation that we are all talking about. And to worsen the whole plight was when she started spraying the pepper spray into their faces and all that. These are the problems we are talking about. So they need to call them to order and let them understand that, look, there are fine brains in NPP. I know them. My former teachers and lecturers are NPP. I know very intelligent people among them. They should sit them down and educate those who don't understand this electoral system so that they will get to understand, so that it will diffuse this tension that we are having. Because if you understand the electoral system, you don't go to polling stations and mess up yourself. I've visited several polling stations in election. Have you ever heard me have problem with anybody at the polling station? Why? Because I know the line of communication. If I come to polling station, I know who I should talk to. If I'm not getting answers there, I'll escalate it to the higher authority. But you don't come to polling station and start throwing your weight around and start disturbing the place and shouting at the top of your voice. Does it solve any problem? It will only attract a counter-attack. And that is where the problem is. So we need to let them understand. Emotions doesn't run elections. Sober reflection runs elections. And these are the things they need to understand.
Well, we're some 14 days away from September 2, all things being equal, and we'll certainly keep the momentum and the build-up to that crucial by-election in Akwatia High here on your Election Command Center. Rashid Tanko Computer, thank you for talking to us.
I'm grateful.
It's the Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC, Rashid Tanko Computer. Let's stay with the political parties, this time with the Movement for Change. They are weighing into the illegal mining fight, and then also measures that must be put in place to address galamsey, which for the many, the nexus between those 8 gallant Ghanaians who died, and the fight against illegal mining cannot be underestimated. What is the movement of change saying?
They are calling on the government to impose an immediate 1-year ban on all small-scale mining and artisanal mining activities in the country. The ban, according to the movement, would create room for reforms, including a full audit of mining licenses issued in the last 15 years. In a statement, the group outlined a 10-point action plan aimed at ending illegal mining, which it says poses an existential threat to the nation's future. This comes on the back of the recent helicopter crash that claimed 8 lives, including 2 cabinet ministers. In addition to the ban, the group wants Parliament, under a certificate of urgency, suspend the application of legislative instrument LI 2462 to stop permits that allow mining in forest reserves in Ghana. 1, revoke all small-scale and community mining licenses issued by the Minerals Commission within the last 15 years. The revocation will be followed by a comprehensive and complete audit of all small-scale and community mining licenses issued within the said period. To issue new mining licenses after the audit exercise with the consent of traditional authorities in the relevant areas. And I'm going to walk you through some aspects of this action plan. The first one says, by an executive instrument, ban all small-scale and artisanal mining activities, whether legal or illegal, with immediate effect for a substantive period of 1 year. 2, Parliament to suspend under a certificate of urgency the application of legislative instrument LI 2462 to stop permits that allow mining in forest reserves in Ghana. 3, revoke all small-scale and community mining licenses issued by the Minerals Commission within the last 15 years. The revocation will be followed by a comprehensive and complete audit of all small-scale and community mining licenses issued within the said period. A task force made up of the representatives of Gold Board, Environmental Protection Agency, Water Resources Commission, and Minerals Commission, with appropriate technical support, shall oversee the audit. 4, issue new mining licenses after the audit exercise with the consent of traditional authorities in the relevant areas. 5, demobilize all machinery, equipment, including earth-moving equipment and any other form of machinery currently in use on all existing small-scale and community mining land sites. Equipment will be inventorized and preserved by all engineers regiments of the Ghana Armed Forces. Now, the 6th one also says, establish and fund a comprehensive program for the restoration and regeneration of all degraded land sites within the 1-year period of the ban of small-scale mining. Young men and women currently engaged in small-scale mining activities will be deployed under the said program. The program will be led and supervised by the Forestry Commission with technical oversight by the Forestry Research Institute of CSIR. The 7th one says, establish a program to be jointly managed by the Water Resources Commission and Environmental Protection Agency with technical support.
Let's engage. Apia Dankwa is a member of the Movement for Change. They put together these recommendations for the president's consideration in the fight against galamsey. Apia Dankwa, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Now, we've gone on this path of a ban on all forms of small-scale mining. We've gone on that path before under the Ekufuor administration. Over a year ban on small-scale mining. We saw some level of improvement in our water bodies and so on, but then we went back to old ways. So why do you think that another 1-year ban on all forms of small-scale mining is the way to go?
So let me take this opportunity to wish your lovely listeners a good evening. So on the issue of banning small-scale mining, I honestly don't think that because of the failures of the Ezra government in dealing with Galamsey should be a reason why the call for the ban on small-scale mining shouldn't be considered. Because if we are to go by the reports of Prof. Bulletin, I think if there's one thing that was clear, is the what's called implication of the government itself in this whole Galamsey. And in fact, looking back, with the benefit of hindsight, I believe strongly that it was just a part of a ruse they put over Ghanaians as part of their grand scheme to practically lead a syndicate that will steal the property of Ghana, that is the minerals, and then by so doing destroy the environment of the country. Now, so my analysis is that because of their failure in dealing with Galamsey, they are being implicated in Galamsey itself should not be the reason why we should not consider banning it again, banning small-scale mining again, because it's in our honest view, it has become a matter of national security. And I think Section 87 of the Miners Act, the minister reserves the right to revoke licenses where it's in the interest of the public to do so. My personal view indeed is that the way Galamsey is being done, the fact that it is an existential threat and the impact on all of us, in my honest view, this constitutes a war that is being waged on Ghana. And to deal with it, we first of all have to put a ban on it, stop it. First of all, to give nature a chance of restoring itself, to afford what's called the administration opportunity of undertaking the comprehensive and honest review of the mining sector, because most of the people doing Galamsey have one form of, most of them have one form of a mining license or not. And most of the Galamsey going on is being done by people who actually have or hold one form of a license. So we do a comprehensive audit of the licensing regime, as in the people who have the licenses, you understand, to at least bring some clarity in the sector. And then once that is done, then we'll be in the best position then to put in place a comprehensive plan, one to cause a restoration of our environment, and also to plan on how we can then put in place structures that will ensure that mining is done responsibly or done in a manner that one would give us economic gain without undermining the integrity of our environment.
I thank you very much, and we'll have a bit more conversation on this and some of the recommendations you've made as well. Thank you for joining us. And that's a member of the Movement for Change team. That's Apiat Dankwa joining us on this one. It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesme 107.1 and on W 93.5. We're back shortly after this quick break. The business news is up. Bismarck Kawosa is standing by.
Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Kawosa. Coming up tonight, oil marketing companies hold palm prices steady as competition over rice industry projections of marginal petroleum price adjustments. We'll bring you details. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Some oil marketing companies, OMCs, have kept fuel prices at the pumps unchanged despite earlier projections of marginal increases in petrol and LPG and a slight drop in diesel prices from August 16. According to industry watchers, the competition is among OMCs, which remains the main reason prices have remained stable for some time now. Moving on, for the second week in a row, government treasury bills have been undersubscribed, raising fresh concerns about investor appetite for short to medium-term securities. According to auction results from the Bank of Ghana, the treasury received a little over 3 billion cedis, about 30% short of its 4.24 billion cedi target. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details.
Is struggling to meet its treasury bills target as the latest auction ended with a shortfall of nearly 30%. Figures from the Bank of Ghana showed that the treasury received just over 3 billion cedis against a target of 4.2 billion cedis. The bulk of the bids came from the 91-day bill, which attracted more than 2 billion cedis, representing about 68% of the total subscriptions. All of these bids were taken up by the government. For the 182-day bill, a little over 678 million cedis were tendered, but only about 538 million cedis were accepted. The 364-day bill attracted 273 million cedis in bids, out of which roughly 167 million cedis were taken. Meanwhile, yields were mixed on the curve. The rate on the 91-day bill declined slightly to 10.13%, while the 182-day bill rose to 12.23% from the 11.54% the previous week. The yield on the 364-day bill dipped marginally to 13.08%.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on government's treasury bills undersubscribed for second consecutive week as investors tilt towards short-term securities. Before we go, the Ministry of Finance will this week commence public hearings as part of preparations for Ghana's 2026-2029 budget and economic policy. The consultative process will solicit input from business associations, financial institutions, civil society organizations, and the general public to shape government's medium-term economic framework. The 2026 budget, scheduled to be presented to Parliament on November 15, 2025, is expected to prioritize job creation and private sector-led growth. According to the ministry, previous submissions from stakeholders had a significant impact on the design of past budgets. And that brings us to the end of the business news on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Sports is next with Orekwan for Please stay.
Journey of Pan-Africanism and consciousness. It is your regular taxi driver with the urban blend and 3FM 92.7 in living stereo every day, Monday to Friday from 12:30 p.m. till 3 p.m. This is the show everybody listens to, so your business will certainly do well here. My name, Black Rasta. I am the rootical, hairtical, Don Gargan, Mua Fire. Come forward. Atinga ya chika fankare, Azure ya chika fankare, Abama ta chika fankare.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo. We start off from some stories where Karen Brady, who is the vice chair of West Ham United, has finally lifted the lid on Mohamed Kudus's departure from the London club this summer. Kudus left the Hammers to join London rivals Tottenham Hotspur for a fee around £55 million in the transfer window, and fans of West Ham United have labelled the Ghanaian attacker as a traitor for leaving to join their rivals. However, their vice chair revealed the decision was purely financial, and the club had to do some of that with regards to the selling in order to ensure that they have enough to buy players on the market as well.
I mean, it's always difficult to lose players that you want to keep. But, you know, the financial restraints and the PSR and all the rules and regulations in football mean that you have to do some trading. That's just the way it is. All clubs are having to do it. You're either restricted on what you can buy because you have to be careful of the financial rules, or you have to sell to try and buy. So that was the decision that was made. He didn't have a particularly good season for West Ham last year by his own standards. So we looked to move on.
So that was Karen Brady, who is the vice chair of West Ham United, speaking there. Let's do some more. Belgian third-tier club RAEC Mons have confirmed the appointment of former Black Stars assistant coach George Boateng as their new head coach. The 49-year-old signed a 3-year deal, taking over from Emilio Ferreira. Boateng has been out of management since leaving Coventry City as a first-team manager in November 2024. He's a holder of the prestigious UEFA Pro license. Boateng also brings vast experience to Mons. He previously worked as Ghana's assistant coach during the World Cup in Qatar in 2022 and then the Africa Cup of Nations. Now, before we go, let's do some athletics. And the president of the Ghana Athletics Federation, Bawa Hussaini, has reviewed what his expectations are when it comes to the upcoming World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, which happens in just a few weeks' time. Now, in a recent interview with 3 Sports on Sports Daily, Hussaini expressed his confidence in the team's ability and prospects.
The chances of winning the medal at the World Championship this year is higher. It couldn't have been more brighter than this time because we have 2 athletes running sub-10, and that there are another 2 also doing 10.06, 10.04. Almost some of them who are in camp are less than 10.01. That gives them very good opportunity to medal.
So that was Bawa Hussaini speaking, who is the president of the Ghana Athletics Federation. Now, just some more context on that interview. Remember that Ghana's all-sprinter team comprises the fastest man in 2025. That is... for the full list of Ibrahim Hussaini, Barnabas Aguirre, Mustafa Bokpin, Isaac Buchio, and then Rashid Saminu, who is the fastest man, Joseph Paul Amwa, and Benjamin Azamati. All of these runners are currently in the US, in Texas and AM, to be specific, for a fortnight-long camp ahead of the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. That's all. We're wrapping up the sports segment here on Hot Edition, and for the whole program as well. I'll be back again same time tomorrow to bring you the latest news here on 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Oreku Ampofo.